Hello and welcome to what is hopefully going to be a fairly short and concise video on how to get the best compression stuff for video games footage for uploading onto YouTube. This is within Vegas 10, so if you're using a more recent version of the software, there's probably going to be slight discrepancies, and if you're using something like Premiere, I'm pretty sure that they will be able to do everything that you can in here. So straight off the bat, I want to create a new project. Now, by default, Vegas 10 loads up a template for you. I've selected the HD 1080 at 24p. Okay, so that's progressive scan. It's good stuff. 23.96 frames per second. I'm pretty certain that YouTube dings the FPS. So if you're recording at 60 FPS, I don't think it's going to make much difference on YouTube at least. So there we go. Field order. None, because we're using progressive scan, not interlaced. Interlaced is not as good, so yep, you want to be using progressive scan wherever possible. Pixel aspect ratio 1 and output rotation 0, because that's default and you just don't want to be touching that stuff. Frame rate, that's whatever it is up here, 23.976, and stereoscopic 3D mode off, because we're not doing 3D stuff. Now, the next drop down menu here, pixel format. By default, it sticks 8-bit on here. Now, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, because I actually haven't researched this, but I'm just going by common sense, if you will. 8-bit, 32 is a big number. 32-bit I would assume to be better, especially the fact that it's got full range written after it. I can only assume that means it's better than 8-bit. I would hope, at least. Anyway, so if I'm wrong, correct me in the comments. But yes, that's what I have. Anyway, full resolution rendering quality, best, obviously. Motion blur type Gaussian, and de-interlaced none, because we're using progressive, not interlaced. So that's this window basically. There is a checkbox on Vegas that says start all new projects with these settings, which is very, very helpful. So that every time you load up a new project, it will just use this. Audio, 44.1 kilohertz, that's fine. 16-bit bit depth instead of 24, because unless you're doing really high quality studio recording type things, you don't really want to be bothering with 24-bit. It's not going to make a huge amount of difference. Ruler, summary, and audio CD, you can basically forget those, unless for whatever reason you're going to need an SMPTE drop stuff and beats per minute markers and things, which I'm fairly certain most people won't need to use. So anyway, I'm going to hit OK and add myself by right-clicking in this box down here, an audio track and a video track. I'm now going to open some 1080p footage that I recorded in Fraps on the test server on PlanetSide 2 the other day. Just going to click and drag that into these two video tracks I've made here. Make sure it plays.
Don't make it gay, guys. Don't make it gay.
Wow, couldn't have picked a better place to play that. Thanks for that, Postal. Words to live by. Words to live by, sort of. Unless you're gay, in which case it's fine. But whatever, we're not going to get into that. So the footage is fine. It's all playing nice and smoothly, which is good. But what you may see straight away, if I go to around about there. Now, this is something that I've had to spend quite a while trying to look up and fix. On YouTube, it has a weird tendency when you upload and compress. It does its weird little YouTube compression thing. It seems to overly contrast the black levels for whatever reason. I don't know why. If you've got a dark bit of footage here where you see this guy's leg, on my screen at least, hopefully you'll be able to see it in the finished video, there are creases on his boots. They're quite obvious in the raw footage and when you're actually playing a game, but graphically they get lost when you compress into YouTube. They just get smothered with black and all the detail just disappears. Especially if you're recording something like Skyrim dungeons and stuff like that, a lot of the kind of shadowing and things will just get totally obliterated by black levels. So to fix this, up here, video output effects, this little button above the preview window, I click on that. Now for Premiere or whatever, there's probably a similar setting to this, but I'm going to do it for Vegas anyway. Sony Levels plugin. Going to click OK and go to the drop down list, and now watch this preview window when I click this. Computer RGB to studio RGB. Boom. There goes my black level. This is quite extreme. Don't worry, I'm not going to leave it like this. But you can see if I was to bring the output start up, it's just, it changes your black level. So that's what this is doing. Now, for this, I change it to 0.005. So very, very subtle change, but just enough to compensate YouTube's fuck-uppery. So on the output end for the white level, it puts in 0.922, but I change it to 0.98, which is again a very subtle change, but just enough to kind of compensate it. So that's that. Now, Vegas also decides to put in a resampling. I'm not entirely sure whether something like Premiere or does it by default, but Smart Resample is horrible. You don't want it. It basically makes your video in the kind of most simplest terms look very horribly pixelated when it gets paused. So disable resample at every opportunity. You'll have to do that per clip, whereas that white level thing was project wide. This resample is per clip that you are putting into your project. So that's that. And I'm just going to loop a little section here, and hopefully let's put a bit with his leg in it so you can see. We'll go from there. Click and drag. Very simple stuff.
Too late.
Apparently it's too late. But there we go. So that's that. Now for the kind of rendering settings. This is the most kind of, I would almost say the most important part. File, render as. Now I'm going to be rendering out this loop section only, just so it takes kind of less time. But I'm going to call it vid.mp4, and that's what the file type I'm going to be rendering as is Sony AVC.mp4. Again, if there's a better one for Sony Vegas, feel free to let me know. But I mean, there's main concept AVC, and that's .mp4 as well. But I've been using Sony AVC and it seems to be fine. If there's a huge difference between those, I haven't actually tried both of them. But if you are able to let me know in the comments if there is a noticeable difference between the two of them, then feel free. But yeah, I'll use Sony AVC. Now, your template then loads up. By kind of standard, if you like, I use the Internet 1080 30p as a preset, and then you open the custom window and you can change loads of stuff, which is what we want to do. Video format, AVC, keeping that. Frame size, HD 1080p, we want that. Profile, I put on high. I just do. Now this is the important thing. I've done a couple of brief researchy things and found a website that basically compares the two. Entropy coding. You've got CAVLC and you've got CABAC. Now, these two, I've never seen anyone else touch on these two before, but from what I can tell, they actually make a noticeable difference to your videos. So by default, it's on CAVLC, but I have it on CABAC. I'm just going to call it CABAC because it's easier than spelling out the letters. Now, this website, which I'm going to be putting in the description, basically goes into the two different types. This is context-based adaptive variable length coding and context-based adaptive binary arithmetic coding. So there are two different ways of coding the images, and there's an image comparison here between CABAC and CAVLC. The one on the left is CABAC, and it's noticeably different. Like, it's paused 720p video, and there is a noticeable difference between the kind of the detailing in the faces of the paused videos. Like the CABAC is just miles above. So yeah, I'll link this in the description so you can actually see for yourselves. Hopefully it'll come out in the video, but if not, the link will be there. So that's that. CABAC, and it sounds funny as well. Field order, none. Progressive scan, yet again, we're not using interlace, so that's fine. Pixel aspect ratio, 1. Now bitrate, that's the next kind of main thing. Sony 10 maxes out at 20. I know a couple of my friends use 50, I'm pretty sure. But 20 seems to do me all right. If you can get away with more, then do. Especially if your upload speeds can cope with it, so you don't have to sit there for like 10 hours waiting for your video to upload. But anyway, that's that. And then encode mode, automatic. You can use your GPU if it's available, if you've got CUDA and stuff, and it is faster a lot of the time. Audio window, a lot of the time this will snap to your project settings, but for whatever reason this has gone 48 kilohertz instead of 44.1, so I'm going to switch that back. And then your bitrate, again, if you're really, really fussy about your audio quality, you can stick that up to something like 256, but 9 times out of 10, 128 will do you fine. System and project, 9 times out of 10, if you set your project settings fine, then this will be fine. So video rendering quality best, and if you put stereoscopic off, that will just be off. So we're going to go with OK, and that will be it. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? Open that again and save it. I've actually already saved one, I'm pretty sure. Yep, 1080 CABAC AmnzeroUK, that's me. So yeah, you can save the presets as well, which is very, very handy. Anyway, so we're going to go ahead and save that, and yes, I want to overwrite the other one that was already in there. This will take a while, obviously. I mean, this is only a 5-second piece of footage, but it's taking, what is it, like 12 seconds to render. Standard. So hopefully that will come out good.
Too late. I'm gonna say too late.
Yeah, that came out quite well.
Too late.
It buffered a little bit for whatever reason. It's probably my hard drive just being slow, but that looks very, very good. Like I was playing the game. Really nice, not much blurring, bitrate's fine, resolution's fine, obviously, and all the detailing in the black there. If I go back to wherever it was, I can see that detailing in his leg absolutely fine. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to upload that to YouTube or whatever you then do. So yeah, hopefully that has helped with your knowledge of compression and stuff. And if, as I say, if anyone knows about that kind of pixel depth, 8-bit to 32-bit floating point, and also the was it main concept 1080 versus AVC versus a Sony AVC, let me know in the comments, because that would be very helpful. And hopefully this has helped you guys out if you are struggling or if you are uncertain on a couple of things. Anyway, this has been AmnzeroUK, and hopefully this has been informative. I shall catch you in the next video.